Hello, weirdos.
How are you?
Hope life is going well. We've made it to another Wednesday/Thursday, whenever you're listening to this, /Sunday.
Yeah, /Sunday. How are things?
Are you asking the listeners or me?
No, I'm asking you. I don't care how things have been for them. Just kidding. They just can't tell us, so.
I mean, things have been, they're going. It's not been bad. It's not been good. I mean, I guess it's been good, but it's not. We haven't had any serious issues.
Okay.
We adopted a puppy.
Yeah.
We rescued a puppy.
She's a biter.
She's feisty. She's a pit boxer mix. We got her from the Nashville Humane Association. She's real cute.
She's not talking about you, Amara.
She's real cute too. Loki likes her. He likes to cuddle with her when they're not fighting. Yeah. I caught them cuddling.
Aww.
And like he gives her kisses from time to time. He like sneaks up on her and licks her.
Well.
But the kids love her.
Well, good. Well, good.
How's life for you?
Fine. I haven't gotten any new critters. The way Amara's looking at me is so sometimes she'll look like the animatronic Salem from Sabrina. And it just kind of freaks me out a little bit. Went to the Ryman the other night to see Sierra Farrell. It was her first sold out show at the Ryman.
Nice.
I did not get a Hatch show print, but the fifth person ahead of me in line got the last one, which was annoying. I forgot, because I was kind of bummed out, and then I started really just looking around, and I was like, I should have known that I wasn't going to get those because I forget that they're highly collectible.
Yeah.
And there was a shit ton of people with carrying poster tubes that are actual a case.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I should have known I wasn't going to get one. I was close.
Yeah.
But I just got the standard the $10 one, which was fine.
Right.
That was really all I needed.
Yeah.
It just would have been cool to have a Hatch show print. I think this one is a Hatch show print. Because it was expensive.
Well, as of when we're recording this, we have, I believe, 27 days until our Tyler Childers. Yes,
yeah,
27 days.
Yeah, because those two concerts were almost exactly a month apart for me. So,
and then in 134 days, I have tickets to go see Hellstorm and Hollywood Undead, and I Prevail.
Nice.
I'm excited.
We go back to the Ryman in July to see the Dead South, and then I go to Green Day on my birthday, which I'm super stoked about.
I can't believe you're going by yourself.
Oh, I'm so excited. They're supposed to play American Idiot from start to finish.
Oh,
I think Dookie from start to finish. It's going to be Taylor Swift level length of concert.
Nice.
And I'm so stoked about it. I don't know how they're going to, because it's like an Eras tour, essentially.
Yeah.
Because they're playing their full career and then those two albums from front to back. And I'm like, that feels like it's going to be 6 hours.
Yeah.
But we shall see. Maybe that was just a rumor.
You want to tell about your experience you had last Saturday night?
Oh, with your child?
Yeah.
So I had Gemma over and we watched, I use that term very loosely, the Taylor Swift Eras Tour on Disney Plus, because it had just come out a couple days before that on streaming, because I was like, I don't want to pay $20 for this. I feel like Blondie has gotten enough of my money. But so I had a sweatshirt that I embroidered for her and a little t-shirt, and had a bunch of friendship bracelets and all kinds of little goodies, and I bought a popcorn bucket for her off of eBay. And then, but she was excited about all of it.
She said she's using that for Easter egg hunts.
Yeah, she said that whenever I dropped her off. And then mostly she played with Willow, and that was about. She liked her favorite, was singing along with her favorite songs, and she'd watch them, and and randomly have commentary. And then the performance of vigilante shit came on, and she sat down, stared at the television, and did not say a word for that entire thing. And if you're not versed, that's the chair one.
Yeah.
Because I was I'm sitting over there kind of looking at her how is she feeling about this vibe? I was I wasn't real sure how she, if she was going to say anything about it. She didn't. She just sat there, listened to the song, watched the performance, and then when it was over, she got back up and started playing with Willow again, nothing ever happened. And I was okay. All right. And then we went and ate at Waffle House. And she eats like a bird.
Yeah, seriously, it looked like she barely ate anything. She finished it the next day, though.
Nice. Yeah, she wanted bacon, 2 runny eggs, and a waffle with chocolate chips. And she turned that waffle into a pure atrocity.
Yeah. That's what she does.
She mixed the butter and the chocolate chips together. Yeah. And I was that's not looking very good. And then she barely ate any of it.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm full. After just saying, I'm so hungry.
Yeah, no, she finished it the next morning.
She
breakfast.
did eat quite a bit of her eggs, though. I will give her that. Mostly the yolk.
Yeah, that's her favorite part. That's her favorite.
But yeah, we had a good time. I don't know that the cats had a good time. They were all passed out by the time I got home.
She knows how to,
especially Willow.
She knows how to wear an animal out.
Terrified of Mabel. She was she doesn't look at all like the pictures you sent, Mom. And I was well, she is hard to get pictures of because she constantly moves. And I changed her cage bedding while Gemma was here and got Mabel out. She's walking around, and she's will she bite me? And I was girl, she can barely see you. I was hedgehogs are kind of blind. Their vision is very bad. And I said, well, you can pet her. I was just pet down her back, and her quills won't poke you. Okay, she barely touched her, and Mabel went and spiked up, and she goes, ah! And then just did not touch her again. And she was very concerned at the way that Willow was looking at Mabel. And she was also very concerned that the turtles didn't remember her. And then when she found out that we're building a pond for them, she was very concerned about them. What if something gets them? And I was no, and we're fencing them in. They'll have their own space. I said we plan on covering it so big old birds can't fly in. I was they should be okay. And she's well, what about in the wintertime? I was they'll hibernate. They're totally fine. I think they hibernate. I don't know what it is that they exactly do, but
I think they dig into the ground and hibernate.
Yeah, they do something. But I was they'll be totally fine. I mean, turtles live outside all the time, and they're totally fine. Somebody's running. It sounded like Little Cat. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, we had a good time. But yeah, she was super concerned about the turtles' well-being and what I plan on doing with them. She was you're just going to put them outside? It's I mean, they're going to have their spot.
Right.
It's not I'm just going, because even the TWRA guy was you can't just put them outside. And I was no, I would never, because they would never survive.
Right.
So we plan on having them a nice little setup and somewhere they can be a little bit freer. But yeah, so that's been my couple of weeks, other than being busier than snot at work.
We do have some exciting news for, podcast wise. If you're local to the Nashville area, there is a crystal shop or metaphysical shop or whatever in Ashland City called Heart of the Hollow that is having, what does she name this thing? There's There's a name. Hold on. I got this. It's called Magick and May Festival at the Heart of the Hollow in Ashland City. There is going to be music, vendors, food, and fun. They're partnering with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library and Sacred Dog Farm to bring magic to the hollers, as she put on there. We are actually going to set up a little table, I guess, out there to spread the word. So if you guys are local and want to come check it out and come say hi, we should be there.
We should have some little freebies.
I don't think I said what date it was on. I got on there to even look to see what the date was, and I don't think I said it. Hold on. It's in May.
Yeah. That reminds me, I need to keep forgetting to check my calendar.
May 11th, starting at 10 a.m.
Because I really hope it's not on the same. Okay, good.
Make it worth our while, because I'm missing soccer games for this.
Yeah, because I was getting kind of concerned because I know I've got a murder mystery train ride, and it's the Saturday before. So we're good.
So yeah, we'll remind you guys of it, and I think that we're gonna get with the shop owner and let her come on and kind of talk to you guys a little bit, hopefully before then.
It should be.
So I'm pretty excited about it. She's got a pretty cool little shop. Lots of goodies out there.
I haven't had the chance to go in.
I haven't either, but my sister's been down there and helped her out in the shop some, and she's bought the kids some stuff out of there.
I do know that she sells the brand of incense that I like.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, at least on the day, I will be spending money.
Right. I'm excited to see what all vendors are going to be there. Also, what food's going to be there.
Yeah, I like food.
I'm excited. My biggest thing about it is, and why I was really interested in us setting up a thing out there, is that she's partnering with the Imagination Library.
Yeah. Which I think is really cool.
Me too. So, there's that.
Amara's up here wandering around on me.
All right. So this... Go ahead.
You go ahead. You started.
All right. This week, we are bringing to you the next installment of our Spooky State series, and we are talking about Florida again.
Yeah.
Just because we're going in alphabetical order.
Do a little wrap around.
A little wrap around. A wrap around. Brittany's going to talk to you about a couple places, and then I've got some funnies.
Because I'm actually done with these notes.
Right.
I still have one episode that I have not finished. It's almost finished, but I have not finished it.
I can't say a whole lot of anything because I stayed up till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning writing an episode last night, and I finished one probably about an hour before I came over here today.
I had hoped to have one finished, but I was having some focusing problems this morning. I sat at the laptop for a long time, but anyway. I'm gonna give you all of my stories first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to get into hers after that. After that, I think we'll keep it a surprise for now. I'm gonna start with the Florida Theater. Built in 1926, the Florida Theater in Jacksonville officially opened for business in 1927. I've noticed a trend, and I think that for every state we have done so far, I have at least seen a theater that is on the lists, the mini lists of haunted places. There's almost always a theater.
Yeah.
And this theater is no different. My thought just went, poof, it's gone. So this theater sits on a former site of an old, unorganized police station, whatever that means, and many people believe that this is the reason there are so many ghost stories surrounding the building. But it is important to remember that it isn't the building that is haunted, but the land and the environment, and just because a building is gone doesn't mean that a ghost or two won't still be hanging around.
And that's going to be the case for a lot of places.
Yeah.
We'll kind of remind you of that coming up in a future episode.
Yeah. And this little tidbit has absolutely nothing to do with the hauntings of the building, but I just thought it was interesting. So on August 10th and 11th of 1956, Elvis Presley played 6 shows over the course of just 2 days at the theater during his 7-city, 9-day, 25-show tour. Nobody's doing that these days.
Right.
Elvis had played in Jacksonville the year prior, and the reaction from the city's teenagers had caused such a disturbance among the leadership that they formed a committee prior to Elvis's return. Juvenile court judge Marion Gooding prepared arrest warrants with charges of impairing the morals of minors. He invited then the young Mr. Presley to a meeting in his office where he threatened to execute the warrants if Elvis's bodily movements on stage were too suggestive. Due to the extensive coverage by Life magazine, the story received national attention, and Judge Gooding sat through several of the shows in the very back row and had police seated in the orchestra pit. This didn't deter Elvis, who proceeded to tease the judge throughout the show by wiggling his little finger. And according to guitar player Scotty Moore, that's where the curled lip and the little finger thing got started. It was claimed by Colonel Tom Parker that they hadn't changed anything about the show, and Elvis stood there flat-footed the entire time, and all 6 shows were sold out.
But the women in that crowd were very upset.
Yeah. This was before the Ed Sullivan Show, when he got in trouble for doing the hip thing. The theater would go on to close in 1980 due to being in a serious state of disrepair, with the last event being held was a car show by the Ford Motor Company. Only 803 of the original 1,900 seats were still functional. On Halloween of 1981, the theater was purchased by the Arts Assembly of Jacksonville for $1 million, and efforts to preserve the building began later in September of 1982, and on December 28, 1982, it was officially accepted onto the National Register of Historic Places, and it was reopened in 1983. Over the years, there have been staff members to report feeling a presence in the projection booth where doors will close without explanation and lights and equipment will begin to go off and on with no living force doing so. According to the Florida Theater website, staff members have reported humming noises that continue even after nearby electrical equipment and appliances have been unplugged. There have been many psychics to come into the theater, and Jill Cook Richards, who was a consultant at the time for a public television production in 1997, claimed that there was a male spirit that spoke to her and said that he wanted to be called J for joy, which exhibited his feelings about the theater. She was quoted as saying, "He said he didn't need a name from his past, that he wanted a name for his future." The psychic reported that Jay was there to protect the building's maintenance manager, Joe Collier, and many speculate that this spirit might have been a former building manager. In 2001, house manager Sandra Floyd told the Daily Record about giving a school bus tour. "I took a group of children through the theater. When we got to the balcony, some children ran toward the projectors, and I told them not to do that because of the ghost. They said, 'Yeah, right.' I told them the lights go out when he gets upset. And just as I said that, the corner light went out. After they left, the light went back on. The teacher asked how I did that, and I told her I didn't."
Hey, just a pause. Mm-hmm. Just because I have PTSD. We are recording, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
During a 2010 investigation being filmed for Local Haunts, the team captured a video of a figure of a man sitting in the balcony of Section 500, Row E, Seat 2. At the time of recording, the team did not witness the man sitting there and only saw him when reviewing their footage. The lead investigator, Steve Christian, described it as the holy grail of paranormal investigation. After this aired, the sci-fi show Fact or Faked visited the theater to investigate this for themselves. The team tested several ways that Local Haunts could have faked the footage, but all of their attempts were unsuccessful, leading the team to conduct their own investigation. They captured many unexplained noises, but with the use of thermal imaging, they discovered heat signatures in the orchestra section, as well as the balcony where the local haunts apparition was captured. In the end, they concluded that there was no evidence to say that local haunts faked the video. During the summer of 2020, all of the seats in the theater were removed and replaced with the exception of the two in the balcony. The ghost seat and its companion were fully restored and reinstalled in their former location so that Jay can continue to find the joy in the theater. Let me get a sip of water. I'm trying not to let my throat get all, because my throat was jacked for like a week after we recorded the last time.
Yeah, we got a long night ahead.
My next one is the Ocean Key House, which I think has been renamed because when I was looking for my pictures, I typed in Ocean Key House. I think it's called Ocean Key Resort now. So the Ocean Key House in Key West is reportedly one of the most haunted hotels in Key West. There have been many reports of paranormal activity made by hotel guests, including that items on the dresser in their rooms have been moved. There have also been reports of the sound of jangling keys and breathy sighs. Many have reported feeling as though they are not alone. But I did do a little digging and found a TripAdvisor question where someone had asked if the place was haunted. It was posted about 15 years ago, and all of the responses have all been pretty much the same, that no, it is not haunted. Someone claimed to have had some close friends to work there, and that this was something they had never heard of before. Many folks chimed in with the same sentiments, including a few former guests. Someone even said that it might be that the owner made the story up to drum up business and said, "He is a nut." Many other sites maintain that the place is in fact haunted, with FloridaHauntedHouses.com saying, "The third floor suite at this hotel is reported to have cold spots during the day. At night, the sounds of keys have been heard and objects have been moved around on the dresser. Sighing sounds are heard and the feeling of someone sitting down on the bed while you're in it. Upon returning to the room, day or night, the lights and curtains are never in the condition in which they were left." There were 2 personal experiences posted as comments under this brief description on the website. One woman who had just stayed there this past September said that they stayed on the 3rd floor, and when they returned home from their trip, her husband disclosed to her that one night he was in the living room of their suite and went to go get a water, and from the corner of his eye, he observed a woman with long blonde hair sitting on the arm of a chair, looking out over the balcony. And when he did a double take, she was gone. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the guy, that may be the guy who, he waited until they got back home because he didn't want to scare her.
Right.
Another person who stayed in 2015 was also on the 3rd floor and claimed that when they went out for the night and returned back to their room, that the balcony doors were wide open and it appeared as though someone had broken in and gone through their belongings, which were strewn about the room. They also claimed to have called the front desk, but were assured that no one had been in the room, and since nothing was missing, there was no police report filed on the incident, and they went on about their night. I don't know how the front desk would have known. No, nobody could have been in there.
Right.
Around 3 a.m. that same night, this person claimed to have been awakened by a loud clap right by their ear. They thought they had dreamed it, and when they turned over to look at the clock, they heard the clap again. He said he shrieked and woke up his wife, who also felt that there was someone in the room with them. He says that neither of them slept for the rest of the night, and when he later Googled to see if the hotel was haunted, this article described the room that they had been staying in. So, is it haunted? Are people just imaginative? Who knows? But if you want to know, you can stay there for yourself and then report back to us. wandersofweird@gmail.com. Next, thoughts, opinions,
No, I'm
criticisms.
Do you want my
Better not be.
criticisms?
Better not be. The Blue Anchor. It was built in London in the 1840s, right about the time that Jack the Ripper was out there butchering women in the streets. Bertha Starkey lived above the bar with her husband, and he would stay gone for long periods of time due to his work. One evening, Bertha was under the assumption that her husband would be away for the night, so she had a man over, and in a shocking twist, her husband arrived home early and caught the two, and he murdered them both. Bertha's spirit haunted the London pub on Chancery Lane until it was torn down 20 years after it was built. The building was razed in London, but the facade and the wooden interior were disassembled and sent to New York City, where they were stored until 1996. That is when they were brought to Delray Beach. Along with the pieces came the spirit of Bertha Starkey. Today, employees have reported hearing footsteps in the building after it's closed. Candles have been known to light and extinguish themselves. Pots and pans will clang, and Bertha can be heard wailing in the building. It has been reported that all of this activity ramps up every year around the anniversary of her murder. The pub was purchased by longtime patron Mark Snyder and his wife Peggy in March of 2017. Peggy said that right after they purchased the bar, she was hit by a knickknack that had fallen off of a bookshelf, and it left a bruise on her arm. At the time, she teased, "You think it was Bertha?" After this, Peggy said an ox horn that was hung on the wall fell off, but that has been the only time they experienced anything supernatural. But following in a years-long tradition, they still ring a bell at the bar at 10 p.m. each evening in order to keep Bertha at bay. Now, my next one. I want to preface this by saying, this one is literally for no one but my dad. So if you don't enjoy it, send your complaints to our complaint department at wanderersofweird@gmail.com, where they will be responded to accordingly. Complex 34.
That response is going to be GFC.
Complex 34 was originally designed to be the largest and most prominent launch pad at NASA in order to support the Saturn I. Construction began in 1959, and the first launch was on October 27th, 1961. Will you please stop trying to steal my stuff? Thank you. The first launch was on October 27th, 1961. Between October 1961 and October 1968, there were 4 Saturn I launches. After the site was modified to support the more powerful Saturn 1B, which was to be the first manned launch of the Apollo missions, there were 3 Saturn 1B launches prior, like test launches that were unmanned. The first manned Saturn 1B launch was scheduled for February 21st, 1967. However, during a launch rehearsal on January 27th, 1967, at 18:31 hours, a flash fire broke out within the spacecraft, killing all 3 astronauts inside. Virgil Grissom, Edward White, the third, he was a third, and Roger B., is it Chaffee or Chafee? I would say Chaffee, you think? Or Chaffee?
I lost my spot because I quit paying attention. Oh, here we go. I'm going to say Chaffee.
Chaffee, okay. If I'm wrong, please correct me. There was a 22-month pause, and the flight resumed on LC-34 with the launch of Apollo 7 on October 11th, 1968. There is a great history of the Apollo launches and why they were numbered the way they were on the YouTube channel The Vintage Space, which was recommended by my dad, on the missing Apollo missions after the tragedy of Apollo 1. Following the launch of Apollo 7, which was the only manned Saturn 1B Apollo launch from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, the Apollo program continued from the neighboring Kennedy Space Center pads 39A and 39B. Launch Complex 39A is currently leased by SpaceX for the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy rockets. On January 1st, 1969, Launch Complex 34 was deactivated. In 1984, LC-34 was designated a National Historic Site. In partnership with the U.S. Air Force, the Kennedy Space Center sends small tours to the pad almost daily, which we went to the Kennedy Space Center the first time we went down to Florida to visit with my sister. And I don't remember if we went to this launch pad. I don't remember like getting out there or anything, so I don't know if we went there or not. But anyway, we're all here to talk about ghosts.
Can I just say that in your notes you spelled here wrong?
Probably. Oh, I did. And it tells me right here. I put the wrong form.
I'm going to sit here and criticize yours, but you should look at mine. There's red squigglies everywhere.
So, it has been reported by tourists and some USAF and NASA employees loud screaming near what remains of the launch pad. This is most likely a match of the screams of the crewmen let out during the handful of seconds that the fire and smoke took to take their lives. There is audio of this that is relatively easy to find. However, when I was writing this, and even now after writing this, I just wasn't brave enough to look it up. But do as you will. There have been many reports by some of seeing Gus Grissom walking around the launch pad, but many do not believe that this has occurred, and there is no evidence to substantiate these claims. But the one common occurrence that is reported by most anyone who has visited the site is the overwhelming sense of dread or sadness when approaching the launch pad. Considering what happened there, this is to be expected. And if anyone is interested in hearing me do a deep dive on more subjects like that, like the Apollo missions, because I really don't think you want to sit here and listen to me talk about the Apollo missions for however many hours that takes. I am thinking about doing a second show where I would record just like a series at a time and then take a break and work on the next series of just all things history. It would just be historical stuff. It wouldn't be anything like we're doing here. And then I think this is my last one. The I-4 dead zone. Have you ever heard of this?
Mm-mm.
So the I-4 passes over Lake Monroe, a little north of Orlando, and this quarter-mile stretch of interstate is said to be one of the most haunted roads in America. During the 1870s, real estate tycoon Henry Sanford began selling the land at the southern shore of the lake to potential citrus farmers and immigrants. In all, he sold 640 acres to a group of German immigrants who would go on to found St. Joseph's Catholic Colony at this site. Conditions were less than ideal, and disease was barreling its way through the community members, and in 1887 there was a terrible outbreak of yellow fever, and many members of the community died and were buried in the woods by the surviving settlers. After this obvious failure, the surviving members of the community packed up and booked it out of there. After that, the land changed owners several times, but would eventually become part of the city of Sanford. Local legends said that there would be deadly consequences for anyone who disturbed the grave sites at St. Joseph's. Some said that a farmer's home was burned down after he had removed some of the grave markers. There was also a story of a young child being run over by a drunk driver after he did some digging around at the gravesite. The child, not the drunk driver. Some strange things began to occur so frequently that it was nicknamed the Field of the Dead. The state of Florida began to buy up land for construction of the new interstate, and the field was one of the properties purchased. Initially, the graves were to be moved, but either they were forgotten about or had been deemed to be unimportant and were just paved over. Not long after this, Hurricane Donna changed course unexpectedly and headed directly towards Sanford and passed over the gravesite on September 10, 1960, and left total devastation in her wake. Today, drivers who take I-40 over Lake Monroe have claimed to experience strange interference over their radios. Some long-haul truck drivers have said that their CB radios will blast static when driving over this stretch of the interstate. Other drivers have claimed to see ghostly apparitions in the roadway, such as a phantom trucker or a hitchhiker. And what would a haunted road be without a woman in white walking on the side of the road and then disappearing when anyone pulls over to pick her up? Many people have also reported a sudden drop of cell phone reception, which that wouldn't be super sketchy. This section is also extremely prone to deadly car accidents, and thus it has earned the nickname I-4 Dead Zone. In 2007, there was a report from the Florida Highway Patrol that said nearly 440 car accidents had been reported in that stretch of road from 1999 to 2006. And in the last 10 years, the FHP have reported at least 26 deadly crashes at the site. Is it ghosts, or are there just a lot of bad drivers in Florida?
I'm going to say both.
I was going to say, I've been on the I-4, and honestly, it's like the Wild West out there. It is scary. It is scary. I don't drive when we're down there. Carl does.
That's like,
and we're doing like 95.
Listen, there's a road. It's like a bypass road to get you around Atlanta, and it's like the Autobahn. There's like no rules.
It's terrifying. It's wild out there.
Well, okay. So instead of hitting you with haunted stories, I decided. I think me and Brittany both had the same thought about it, but I'm gonna hit you with Florida man stories.
Yeah, I think this is perfect.
I'm gonna hit you with some of the best ones from 2021, 22, and 23. So the first one I have is Florida man pulled gun at Starbucks over cream cheese.
Oh no.
The only thing I don't like about this link is that, let me see. Okay. So a Florida man pulled a gun at a drive-thru worker because they forgot the cream cheese for his bagel.
Can't be doing that.
Right. That's a little extreme for me. Did I just close the link? Well, I did. Dadgummit. The next one, Florida man with tattoo on his forehead was arrested for misuse of 911 marijuana possession. He literally has a tattoo of the state of Florida in between his eyes.
Why? Why? I can't say. I mean, I've never loved anything that much, but definitely not the state of Florida.
Right. It's 2021, 22. I'm sorry. I'm trying to reopen the link that I closed. All right. And then now
I shouldn't have drank that sweet tea I had earlier so fast.
Florida man was seen carrying lectern in siege on U.S. Capitol, arrested. So he like literally took the podium.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Cape Coral man wakes neighbors by screaming and pretending to be a firework.
Oh, that's cute.
A Fort Myers man planted a banana tree in a pothole.
I mean, if the pothole was big enough to be able to plant a tree in it, somebody should have done something about that.
Right.
He's being economical.
Come here, you got a boogie. Hold on. A naked Florida man stole a police car and then crashed it. Neighbor smears dog poop on Fort Lauderdale man's yard signs.
Oh,
5 Florida police officers spent an hour chasing a runaway pig.
There's a joke there.
Right. 42-year-old Summerfield woman who once claimed to own Google was arrested.
No.
Florida man shot in the stomach after attempting to scare a friend.
What in the... How did he try to scare him? What was he doing?
A drunk man stole a floating tiki hut in Key West.
Oh, that reminds me. Whenever you finish these, I'll tell you a funny one that I heard or I read the other night.
Florida woman accused of screaming political profanities and ringing a bell at 5 a.m. each day.
Oh.
Naples man calls 911 about McDonald's orders and says he has cocaine in his butt.
He probably did. That's Florida.
Right. Case in point, snorkeler finds nearly 70 pounds of cocaine floating off of the Florida Keys.
Oh, no. Somebody was coming back for that.
This says, Florida woman stabs sister with EpiPen because she's allergic to drunks. Oh my gosh. Florida metal musician turns uncle's skeleton into a Skelecaster guitar.
Oh no. I feel like I've heard about something like that before. I know there was a black metal band once that eventually they got caught because their stage propped skeleton was like their friend that they murdered.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Them like Norwegian black metal bands, they're not to be trifled with.
Right. The headline literally says homecoming hack. Assistant principal and daughter were charged with using computer accounts to steal homecoming queen vote.
Why? Why does that matter? That is not going to matter. Like, now that's what they're remembered for. That's the only reason why that matters when they're adults. Like, when your daughter's an adult. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It's not going to matter later in life. Nobody cares. I couldn't tell you who our homecoming queen was.
Me neither.
I have no idea.
Naked man arrested after wandering into his neighbor's yard and jumping on their trampoline.
He should just get his own trampoline.
Man in bond court attempts to virtually flirt with judge. Florida woman hacked flight system, cleared planes with maintenance issues to fly. Local tuba player banned from playing on Fort Myers Beach. Let's see what the story behind that is. Come on. Okay, so basically he was just playing music out on the beach, and the beach patrol told him he couldn't do it, and when he went to town hall to find out, he was told that he was violating the town ordinance, that he had to stop or face fines.
This seems silly.
Yeah. Anyway. Florida man steals entire stacks of lottery tickets and returns in new clothes to steal the safe. Man in Florida bar shows off gun and then accidentally shot himself.
That sounds about Florida.
Florida man's double life is exposed in the hospital when his wife meets his fiance.
Oh no.
Florida family indicted accused of selling bleach as COVID cure. Florida man uses finger guns to steal Waffle House napkins.
Of all things.
Right. Florida man challenges mask policy on flight by wearing women's underwear on his face.
I feel like I heard about that one.
Man stabbed with a swordfish in a fight. That was 2021. We're moving to 2022. Florida man found with drugs after getting trapped in a porta potty. I read this one because I saw that and I said, excuse me. So basically he was stuck inside this porta potty and why? Exit pages. He was found by a deputy with his foot sticking out of the bottom of the porta potty.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they opened the bathroom door, they found a powdery substance in a bag and that later tested positive for fentanyl along with a syringe.
Mm.
Florida after... Oh my, I read this one too. After a police chase, Florida woman crosses getting arrested off her bucket list, deputies report. Basically, she they went to pull her over and she just kept going. And then when she stopped and was taken into custody, she told authorities that getting arrested had been on her bucket list since high school.
Wasn't she an older lady?
She looks young.
Oh. I know there was an older lady once that got arrested, and they took her to jail because she was 103 and had always wanted to know what it would be like to be arrested.
Definitely wasn't that old. A Newport Richey man was arrested on a felony charge after authorities said he threw a hot dog at an officer in July. Arrest documents say that he was being warned of violating a city ordinance by an officer. He ignored the warning and continued to sell hot dogs in a road after his street closure permit ended. He was asked to put the hot dogs down, but continued his attempts to sell before becoming upset and intentionally throwing the hot dogs at the officer. He was charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting an officer without violence.
Oh, Lord. Can you imagine being that officer and being I don't know, being that whiny about having a hot dog thrown at you?
I'd have been really?
I hope his fellow officers made fun of him.
Right. A Florida man was accused of driving a stolen vehicle to a Space Force base in Brevard County in what he called a mission from the President of the United States.
Oh, Lord.
He stole a truck from Riviera Beach and drove to Patrick Space Force Base near the Kennedy Space Center. When he tried to get on the base, he claimed the president told him in his mind that he needed to take the vehicle and warn government officials that there were U.S. aliens fighting Chinese dragons.
Oh, no. Somebody went off his meds.
A woman was pulled over, I guess, and they gave her a field sobriety test.
Mm.
She was being charged with driving under the influence with property damage and refusal to submit to testing after rear-ending a vehicle about a mile from her home. She showed signs of impairment and apparently performs multiple ballet and Irish folk dance moves during the sobriety test.
I mean,
if she's sober enough to Irish jig,
yeah,
listen,
and do ballet.
A Florida man arrested when police said he attacked a woman with a machete while wearing nothing but a cowboy hat.
So which was the problem? Was it the fact that he was only wearing a cowboy hat, or was it the fact that he was attacking a woman with a machete? He asked her for a crack pipe, but when she said she didn't have it, he chased her with a machete. Oh, no.
His name, Roberto Hercules.
That sounds like somebody who would be naked.
He was charged with attempted murder, attempted armed robbery, and aggravated battery with a weapon.
Okay, so the problem was the weapon. It wasn't that he was naked.
Right. Woman was arrested after speeding through a checkpoint in Lee County. She was 24. Let me just say that. She didn't stop. When she finally did stop, they called for backup, and she took a selfie before driving off again. I've seen this one. there's been memes floating around. So do you remember the dude that was arrested in Florida and he had like the widest neck you've ever seen in your whole life?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So he was arrested again in Florida. This time for aggravated stalking and withholding support for a child or spouse. Oh, he's in Escambia County. Okay, moving on. 2023. Florida man caught driving booty patrol truck facing charges. In all fairness, it looks a lot like a lifeguard type truck, like the markings and stuff on it. It just says booty patrol on it. And he's had multiple run-ins with the law, but he does this for TikTok. Doing it for the Vine. Florida woman calls for Sugar Daddy Appreciation Day at board meeting. Taxpayer-funded BDSM dungeon. In Florida, in this Florida woman tale, a spiritual successor to last year's Florida mistress demands taxpayer-funded BDSM dungeon at City Commission meeting. A woman took the podium at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting with an unusual request. Accompanied by an older gentleman, she asked the board to designate March 10th as Sugar Daddy and Mommy Appreciation Day. You guys may not be aware, but Florida has the largest per capita population of sugar daddies in the U.S.
I believe it. That's where all the old men retire to, so... And they got more money than sense.
So a man basically had a high speed chase. He was 22. He was going 117 on I-75. And he said he felt like he was in Grand Theft Auto.
Oh my gosh.
Shirtless Florida man climbing tree like Tarzan after police chase.
The boys on the four-wheelers are out.
I heard that.
They were out there at midnight right outside my bedroom window.
Florida man tried to evade deputies through unconventional means when they attempted to arrest him for aggravated battery. The sheriff's office said deputies went looking for this man only to be greeted by a whiteboard with the message, "Johnny Yates does not live here." Seems legit, right? The sheriff's office said deputies saw a person live in the home who told them that Johnny was inside with several other people. Florida woman tries to bring 4-foot emotional support snake on a plane.
Oh, hell no. Ain't anybody ever seen that movie?
She had it in her suitcase, and they found it on the x-ray machine.
That's literally the setup for snakes on a plane.
Right. Florida woman was caught on camera emerging from the inside of a couch after a failed attempt to hide from deputies.
Oh, no.
She was wanted on parole violation for the sale of fentanyl and unlawful use of two-way communication device.
There's an unlawful use for walkie-talkies?
I mean, if you're like tapping into the wrong channels.
I guess so.
A Florida man discovered an unwelcome guest in his home after an invasive iguana decided to hide out in his toilet.
Oh, hell.
I don't know if it was just looking for a spa day or what, but it's huge. I don't know how it got there. While he hoped for the iguana to be relocated, it likely wasn't. Releasing captured iguanas is prohibited per the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission.
Amara, what is on your face?
A Columbia County deputy was assisting paramedics with a man experiencing an altered mental state and possibly under the influence of drugs. According to the sheriff's office, the patient climbed into the front of the ambulance and sped off. The ambulance eventually drove into the front lawn of the sheriff's office operations center, bringing the chase to an end. So basically, he turned himself in.
Yeah. He did it to himself.
All right, so here's probably my favorite. Beer belly wrestling, evading arrest, obstacle course on tap for inaugural Florida Man Games. Although this is not about a specific Florida man, the viral phenomenon has inspired what promises to be the most insane athletic showdown on earth. Contests in the inaugural Florida Man Games include beer belly wrestling and an evading arrest obstacle course in which contestants jump over fences and through yards while being chased by real police officers.
Oh no. Where'd they find these officers?
I mean, listen, if you've got it, if it's like a safe environment.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the cops are fun guys too. I'm sure that they will get in on the fun as long as everybody's being safe and legal. But that's all I got for that. I thought that would be a fun little thing to do.
I liked it. And then just in case anybody was wondering, because I know some people don't know, they're always like, why are we always hearing about Florida Man? It's the Sunshine Law, where the government has to, like, anything government related, like meetings and records or all of that is public knowledge, and it's just out there. I mean, most other states you'd have to do like a FOIA request or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why you always hear like Florida Man.
And just,
I guess Tennessee also has a Sunshine Law. So,
but like,
maybe that's why we can use mobile patrol here.
Crazy shit always happens in Florida.
That's true. But so, whenever we went to that concert the other night, we ate at our local Waffle House. Mm-hmm. And while we were in there, I was scrolling through Instagram. So I recently followed an account, like it's Scoop Nashville or something, and they post people's mugshots on why they got arrested.
Was it somebody we know?
No, it wasn't somebody we know, but it was an absolutely wild story. So there was this little drunk Mexican man or Hispanic man. I don't know if he was Mexican, but he was Hispanic. And he wandered onto the tarmac of the airport. And
wrong wall, bro. That was rude. That came out of my mouth before I could stop it.
So
I'm sorry.
He was caught, of course, and they asked him, how he got there, and he at first said Uber dropped him off there, and then he said he took the bus, and but how he actually got out there on there? They've got video footage of him riding the conveyor belt down. So I was like reading that story in the Waffle House for just me, Daniel, and the waitress and cook.
Oh, me.
Bless it.
I have the nonprofit for the week, and this one's a little bit different than what we generally do. This one is for the Global Peace Film Festival. So it's basically just going to like this particular festival or whatever that happens, it looks like in September. And they offer it either live or you can like buy tickets for a virtual type thing. But it's an annual event that has been held in Orlando since 2003. The goal has been to promote peace and environmentalism through the medium of film. The festival has showcased over 800 films from around the world, including documentaries, narrative full lengths, and short films. The festival has also featured panel discussions with filmmakers, special guests, and local activists who educate attendees about the power of film in promoting peace and well-being. The festival's mission goes beyond anti-war and often touches on more personal well-being that's reflected in the lives of individuals and communities. The Global Peace Film Festival is anchored around the International Day of Peace, September 21st. It's a 4 to 5 day thing in Orlando. In recent years, since the global pandemic, they added a virtual film festival the week following the live festival. But it showcases like an entirely different lineup of films.
I think that's probably the best thing that ever come out of COVID was all of the increased accessibility to stuff.
Yeah.
That like you wouldn't otherwise have.
Right. I agree. But you can, donate, volunteer if you're in that area, what have you.
Well,
I feel like I thought of something to say when we were done, and I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, I had something else I wanted to add, but that thought evacuated. It fell
You
out.
said remind you to say something when we're done.
That was the airport story.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
I guess that's it. Follow us on Instagram,
TikTok, if it's still a thing.
X.
Facebook, did we already say that?
No.
Facebook.
Email us.
Wanderers of Weird
@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah.
We will catch you on the flip side.
Okay, bye.
Bye.